Thanks for joining me. Let's take a look at and a listen to FIFINE's Tank 1 dynamic microphone. This microphone is intended for podcasting, audiobook narration, content creation. I have a pretty good collection of microphones, including a number of nice studio class microphones. And when I reach out for a microphone for these video productions, more often these days I find myself grabbing the FIFINE Tank 3. Now the Tank 3 is a moderately priced or budget priced microphone, but I think that it works really well for these video productions because it looks good on camera, it sounds pretty good, and most importantly, it really is effective at reducing background ambient noise. And so for that reason, when I'm doing productions in this less than perfect studio, the results I get from this Tank 3 mic are really quite good. So when FIFINE reached out to me and offered the Tank 1 microphone for a review, I was definitely interested. We'll take a listen to it and we'll compare it to the Tank 3 and also to the Shure SM58. And we can see the relative strengths of each of these mics. And after this video, maybe you'll have a better idea as to which one of these mics would work best for your situation. Now the Shure SM58 and the Tank 1 come in at very similar price point, and the Tank 3 is a little bit less than that. So all of these mics provide really good value, and I think that they are all great choices. But they each have their own strengths. So with that, let's take a little closer look at the FIFINE Tank 1. It's got really nice packaging. FIFINE has really upped their game with the packaging. This is nicely done. And the other thing that you'll immediately notice is that it's heavy. It's really heavy. I mean, pounds worth of heavy. I've got a lot of microphones, and I think that this might be right up there at the top in terms of heavy microphones. So if you're planning on using the Tank 1 on a microphone boom arm, that should be a decent quality boom arm that can handle a heavy microphone. When you open the box on the Tank 1, you'll find that there is an instruction manual. The microphone is packed in a nice foam packaging so that it is well protected during transit. It includes a stand adapter for 3/8-inch stands if you need that sort of thing. It's a little brass adapter that screws into the bottom of the mic. And in the cutout of the foam is the Tank 1 microphone. There are no other accessories included with the Tank 1. So let's take this out of the box, take a little closer look at it. You're listening to the sound of the Tank 1 dynamic microphone. This microphone, as you can see, is a large podcast-style microphone, all metal construction, with the exception of the tensioner knobs on the side, which are high-quality plastic. This mic offers superior rejection of sounds from the rear and the sides, so you don't get background noises from your less than perfect studio getting into your productions. I would characterize the sound of this mic as being rich and smooth and accurate. The microphone might sound a little bit dull compared to some others because it actually has fairly flat and accurate response, while many other microphones have an artificially boosted high end to make them sound cleaner and more clear. This microphone, I think, has a very natural sound, which is non-fatiguing. Now, if we take a look at the back side of this microphone, you'll see that it has a standard balanced audio XLR output connector and two sound shaping switches, two filters. The switch on the top is a high boost filter, which boosts up the upper mid-range a little bit in a curve that is pretty similar to a lot of other microphones to increase vocal clarity. This is the sound of the microphone with that filter enabled. So this gives the microphone a little bit of high-frequency boost that may help your vocals cut through a little clearer. I'll turn that off now. Now we're back to the standard sound of the microphone, and the second switch right below that, right above the audio connector, is a low-frequency cut, or high-pass filter. And when I turn that on, it takes out the very deep bass from this microphone. So that prevents things such as air conditioning or heating system rumble from getting into your recordings, or if you have outside noises of deep bass shaking your building, that keeps it out of your recording. Or if you're producing content for people who are going to consume it on smartphones, chances are they're probably not going to be able to appreciate the deep bass at any rate, and so there's probably not much point in wasting energy recording it. Rather, you can get a little more volume in your productions if you cut out that really deep rumble, which isn't helping your productions anyway. So let's turn this off now and go back to our normal settings. And so once again, this is the flat setting or the standard setting for the Tank 1. And one more time, here is the sound of the Tank 1 with the high boost enabled. That gives this microphone a bit more of a modern sound, similar to many other microphones that include a little bit of a boost in the upper end. This is the Tank 3 dynamic microphone, a podcast-style microphone that looks similar to the Tank 1, although a little bit lighter and a little bit smaller, and a different sound profile. The Tank 3 has a boosted high-frequency range, which helps your vocals come through clean and clear, and has perhaps a bit more of a modern microphone sound. I find that the sound profile of the Tank 3 works very well for me, although sometimes, with extended listening, I question if it's really an accurate reproduction. The Tank 3 includes some controls on the side that are used when the microphone is being deployed in a USB format. Those controls are microphone drive level, output level, as well as a control for headphone monitoring level. And on the top of the microphone is a push button for mute. And these controls are only available when the microphone is being used as a USB device directly connected to your computer or to your smartphone without the need for any additional audio interface. The Tank 3, of course, also operates as a standard dynamic microphone with a 3-pin XLR balanced audio output connection at the back. You're listening to the sound of the Shure SM58. The SM58 was developed in the 1960s and has been a bestseller ever since. The sound signature of the SM58 has proven itself with the test of time, and this is a microphone that I would say sounds good on almost everybody's voice. This microphone has good rejection of background sounds, but I don't feel it's quite as effective as the Tank series microphones are. The SM58 is part of a family of microphones that share a similar pickup element, which would be the SM57 and the SM7, with the SM7 being the broadcast variant, and that comes in a package that is closer to the Tank series microphones, which I think looks great for broadcast or podcast use. However, the SM7 does come in at hundreds of dollars more. Now, my praise for the SM58 does not extend to the Shure Beta 58, which looks similar but has a different sound, and I don't think the beta version microphone sounds quite as good and smooth on my voice as the original SM58. So the SM58 is an extremely popular microphone and one that I would say is almost never a bad choice. You've heard the mics, and I'll share my opinion and a few closing thoughts, and a reminder that if you're interested in picking up a Tank 1 or any of the microphones I've mentioned in this video, you'll find links down in the description below where you can pick up one of these mics from an authorized reseller, and you'll get a great deal, and I'll get a little bit of referral credit, and I appreciate your support. So let's talk about the mics, starting with the Shure SM58. And these comments also apply to the SM57 and the SM7. All of these mics are in the same family. If I had to categorize this mic with a single word, it would probably be reliable. It's a microphone that I have a high expectation is going to deliver good results almost no matter the situation. It's one of those microphones that tends to sound pretty good on just about everybody's voice. It's a mic that is super popular on stage and would probably work well for your podcast also. Now, the detractors from the SM58 are that it's a handheld mic, and I think that the podcast broadcast style package just looks better in your videos. It also has fairly effective background noise rejection, but not quite as effective, I don't believe, as the Tank series microphones. For those reasons, I gravitate more towards the Tank series microphones than the Shure SM58, although I think this is a solid contender. Now, of course, if you want a microphone with this kind of sound signature in a podcast broadcast format, you can do that with the Shure SM7. But the SM7 is going to cost a couple $100 more than this mic. And so I question if that's really good value. Additionally, the SM7 is known for having lower than average output level. So depending upon the audio interface that you're using, you may find that you want to use an inline signal booster to get enough signal, and that increases the expense even more. Something to be aware of if you're considering purchasing a Shure microphone is that these mics are incredibly popular. And because of that popularity, they've become the target of counterfeiters. And some of the counterfeiters are creating microphones that look darn near identical to the real thing. They look really good, but they don't sound as good as the original. And of course, if you purchase counterfeit product and you ever need to exercise a warranty claim, you might have a bad surprise. So something to be aware of is that Shure very rarely allows their retailers to sell these microphones at a discount. So if you see a small retailer that's selling a supposedly new Shure microphone at a much lower price than major retailers or much lower price than standard retail price, well, I'd call that a clue. To be sure that you get an authentic Shure SM58, follow the links below to purchase one, or make sure that your reseller is an authorized Shure dealer. The FIFINE Tank 3 microphone. This mic here is the value leader of the bunch. It's the lowest price mic in our comparison, and it has the most features in that it is both a dynamic microphone and a USB microphone. So it's a mic that you can use with standard audio interfaces, or you can plug it directly into your computer or smartphone, making it really flexible. It has excellent rejection of background noises and a upfront punchy sound to it. And it's the mic that I've been using for a lot of these video productions with good success. So I'm a fan of the Tank 3. I think it works really well, and I think it's a great podcasting microphone. But it's not perfect. And the things that make it not perfect for me are aesthetically, I'm not a huge fan of having these controls on the side of the mic. And so I think the mic would be a lot better looking without those bumps on the side of it. And second is the sound. The sound quality I think is really good, but it's got a forward punchy sound to it, and sometimes that sound comes across to me as sounding a little bit constrained or boxy. And it's a sound character that I can't easily adjust with standard equalization. So I think it's a great mic. I think it works really well, but it does have a little bit of a constrained sound. Now, if I'm doing a shorter production, a video that's 10 or 20 minutes in length or less, I don't think that's a big issue for me personally. But if I was to read an audiobook, and I know that the listener is going to be listening to me for hour after hour, I think that the somewhat constrained sound of the Tank 3 might become a little fatiguing. So with those caveats, I think the Tank 3 is a great value. It's really flexible and works well for me. And it's been one of my go-to mics for these video productions for some time now. The FIFINE Tank 1 microphone addresses some of the concerns that I have with the Tank 3, and it retains the good things, such as really excellent background noise rejection. It doesn't have the controls on the side, which I think detract from its appearance. It's a nice, clean-looking package. It's a big, bold microphone that I think looks good in video. And it has a very smooth sound character to it that doesn't have the edginess or boxiness that I find with the Tank 3. Both these microphones sound good, but I think the Tank 1 actually sounds a little bit better. The Tank 1 may sound a little bit soft for some people, but because of its smooth response, just a touch of equalization will correct that without creating a sound that is fatiguing. And so I'm a big fan of the Tank 1. I think that it represents really good value. I think you get a lot of performance and a lot of microphone for the price. So I'm impressed. I think it works really well. Now, of course, the Tank 1 is a standard dynamic microphone, so it doesn't offer the USB features that the Tank 3 does. But in my application, that works just fine for me. So if you're interested in any of these mics, do check out the purchase links below and investigate further. And I appreciate you stopping by. You've made it this far, so I hope that you found the video to be interesting and informative. If you did, please take a second to give me a thumbs up and let me know. If you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you'd like to help support my endeavors here, I encourage you to hit the join button and join the channel for just a few bucks a month to help support this. And of course, a super thanks is always super appreciated. So once again, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully I'll catch you again soon.